Hi, good afternoon and welcome to the Sustainability Induction. My name's Carl Letton. I am the Sustainability Manager at DMU, and I'm just going to take you through some of the varied and different projects that we're doing around sustainability and sustainable development at DMU, some of the things the university is doing, and also how you can get involved as well. So, okay, onto the first screen. This is me. I'm Carl Letton. I am the Sustainability Manager. I'm based in Estates and Facilities, which is one of the directorates and departments within the university, and our job is to manage the campus. So part of my role is to try and work with colleagues in Estates and across the rest of the university to manage the campus in a way that contributes to sustainability and reduces our environmental impact. So I've been at DMU for a little while, just over 12 years. But I've been working on sustainability for over 20 years, both in local authorities and universities. And for a short time, I was a director of a food cooperative as well. And my job also means that occasionally I get to dress up as a banana to promote fair trade. We are the sustainability team. You can keep in touch with us across our social media streams. So we are on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram as well. So all you have to do is just search for Sustainable DMU and you'll be able to keep in touch and find out about all the projects that we're running and also how you can get involved and volunteer in them as well. We also have email as well. So just email us at sustainability@dmu.ac.uk and we'll get back in touch with you. So that's how you can stay in touch with us. So one of the first things I want to talk about is the university's commitment to sustainability, and that commitment is really through working towards the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which were put forward by the United Nations and adopted by 193 countries from across the United Nations. And what the 17 SDGs do, they provide a really good sort of description of what sustainability is all about. So in the past, we've talked about sustainability as a balance of social, economic, and environmental issues. But the 17 SDGs provide a much clearer description about what those three issues might be. So within the 17 SDGs, if you're not familiar with them, there are social issues like no poverty and zero hungry. There's economic issues such as sustainable cities and communities. And then there's also the environmental issues such as life below water, climate action, and life on land. And the university is really committed to these 17 SDGs. You'll find that in all the key documents and strategies within the university. And the university is also a global hub for one of the SDGs. So SDG 16, Peace, Justice and the Strong Institutions. DMU is a global hub for that particular SDG. So we are the only university in the UK who is a global hub for one of the SDGs. So it's an accolade we're really proud of. And we try and focus as much work as we can on the SDGs. So not just in how we manage the campus, but also through things like incorporating sustainability into teaching and learning at the institution, and also in terms of our outreach programs like DMU Local and DMU Global. And those outreach programs are about using the enthusiasm and energy of our students to support communities across the city of Leicester as well. So one of the things that we've committed to is around climate change. So you will have seen from one of the SDGs that SDG 13 is around climate action. And this is one of the things that universities is really key and focused on. So much so that a couple of years ago, back in 2019, the university acknowledged and declared a climate emergency. So it's very clear that we are facing a huge amount of pressure in terms of climate impacts. And universities have a really important role to play in that, not just through the things that the university buys, but also how it engages with its staff and students to try and encourage them to take action in relation to reducing their own carbon footprints. So the university has adopted a couple of targets. So we have adopted a target to be net zero from our carbon emissions. Those are the emissions from our energy use by 2032, and then net zero for all other emissions by 2045. So we have programs in place across our energy use and also our other activities to understand what our emissions are and work to reduce them as well. The university also has a commitment to divest from fossil fuels. So that means that money that the university has invested, we will not invest those in companies that are involved in fossil fuel extraction. So that's something that we've recently adopted. We've also committed to work with local partners, such as Leicester City Council and other stakeholders, to work on climate change and to support projects that are also working to reduce carbon emissions as well. We also offer something called carbon literacy training. So that's making people aware of the science behind climate change, understanding of their own carbon footprint, and also understanding the actions that they can take as individuals and as an organization, as a university, to reduce the carbon footprints as well. So we have this program of training, which is open to DMU students as well as DMU staff. And the university itself is already a carbon literate organization, which means that a certain number of our senior staff, so our senior decision makers, so the really top people in the university, have already been on this training. And they have been accredited as carbon literate individuals, which means the university is also a carbon literate organization as well. So there will be opportunities for students to attend those training sessions, and you'll be able to find out more about those through our social media platforms that I previously mentioned. So I just want to touch upon some of the tools that we have for sustainability at DMU. And, you know, these are the biggest tools. These are your hands, and you have choices to make while you're at DMU, and you can make sustainable choices in the actions that you take and the things that you do on campus. And we have tried to put in processes and structures in place to help you make those decisions, to help you make more sustainable decisions, because that all contributes to the university trying to be a more sustainable university and contribute to those 17 SDGs. So one of the things that you can take action while you're at DMU and on campus is really how you do with your waste. And we encourage you to recycle as much of your waste as possible. We have a number of color-coded recycling bins across campus. The green ones are for plastic. The recycling bins with a blue top are for paper. Yellow is for cardboard, and the grey ones are for landfill. So I would encourage you to think about how you dispose of your waste and try and put them in the appropriate container where you can. We do okay with our recycling at the moment. So our recycling rate is over 90%. So for non-residential waste that is on campus, we recycle over 90% of that. And then the remaining 10% is actually turned into fuel, which is then burnt to generate energy, which is then used in businesses and in homes as well. So we're pleased with the 90%, but we know we can do better. And with your help, we can do that. We also are running a project called Hedgehog Friendly Campus. Hedgehogs in the UK have been declining quite a lot over the past few years. So this initiative is working with universities to look at how they manage their green space to make sure they provide food and habitat for the declining hedgehogs, raise awareness amongst staff and students, which includes litter picking and looking after the campus. And we'll also be surveying the campus shortly to understand how many hedgehogs we do have on campus, so that we can monitor those numbers as we go forward, and hopefully we can put actions in place to support that hedgehog community. We also do something called Student Switch Off. Student Switch Off is an energy saving competition between our halls of residence. Students can win prizes throughout the year simply just by turning lights off and turning equipment off in their halls of residence. It is energy monitoring competition. So throughout the year, we will monitor the energy usage in all of the halls of residence that are taking part. and the hall that saves the most energy at the end of the year gets a big delivery of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, which is a fantastic motivation for saving energy. And if you're saving energy, you're also reducing carbon emissions and reducing the university's carbon footprint as well. So really exciting competition and a good chance to get involved. And these are some of the halls that are taking part. So the Grange, Newark Point, Bede, Filbert Village, and New Wharf. We have an energy leaderboard, which shows how each of those halls are doing. So the green bars show that they're saving energy, the red bars show that they're using more. So it's a really exciting project, and hopefully you're in some of those halls and you'll be able to take part. We also offer a couple of incentives on campus to help you reduce your own waste. So one of these is if you bring a reusable drinks container onto campus and have your coffee in one of those, you will actually save money. If you use one of these reusable mugs or bring your own, that's really good because then it cuts down the waste that's thrown away after you've finished. So if you use a disposable container, you'll be charged an extra 25 pence for your hot drink. So by using one of our reusable mugs or one of your own, you're actually saving money, but you're also doing your bit for the planet as well by reducing waste. So good thing to do, good for the planet and good for your pocket as well. We also run a number of volunteering projects with students. So here are some of our students planting bulbs, which are sort of for flowers across the campus. These students planted 10,000 bulbs across the campus, and they planted a mix, which is called sort of a bee-friendly mix. So when these flowers come out, they are a really good source of pollen and nectar for bumblebees. Bumblebees have been in decline across the UK as well. So taking steps like this is really great for biodiversity on campus, and it provides a really good source of food for bumblebees when they come out of hibernation as well. So this is a patch of green space outside the Edith Murphy building. So when you're on campus and you're walking into town, and you go past the Edith Murphy building, do have a look at this patch of green space and you might see some of the flowers starting to come up. We also work with our grounds maintenance team to make sure that we are planting wildlife-friendly plants, which are really good, again, for biodiversity and really good for insects. So all across the campus, these are planted, and again, there are opportunities for students to get involved in those projects. So here's one of our volunteers previously. This is Joseph, who worked with the sustainability team. He worked on a project called Green Impact, whereby students and staff work together to make the whole campus and the whole institution as sustainable as possible. So we are running Green Impact again this year. So do have a look on our social media streams to find out when that project is launched and how you can get involved. And the picture there is just a picture of some of the flowers that the students planted. So these are some of the bee-friendly mix. Really good source of pollen and nectar for bumblebees and other insects as well. And it provides a really nice splash of colour on the way into town from the campus. So here's another one, another picture of one of those planters that were planted up with the bee-friendly mix and also flowers and plants for biodiversity. This is one of our planters, and we also worked with design students who have come up with some really nice designs which are on our planters. So we ran a competition through Green Impact for design students to come up with some exciting eco designs to put on our planters. So if when you're walking around campus you see some of these planters, you'll be able to spot some of these really eye-catching and really interesting designs on the sides of the planters. I mentioned about some of the outreach projects that the university does. So we have some really great schemes through something called DMU Local, DMU Global, and DMU Square Mile. So these projects provide a really good opportunity for students to volunteer and you can volunteer in all sorts of projects, supporting communities both within the university and across the city as well. They are really fantastic projects. They all contribute to the work of the university in meeting the 17 SDGs, and in particular SDG 16 as well. And you get recognition from volunteering on those projects, which looks great on your CV, and you also get to meet lots of like-minded students as well. So if you get the chance, do volunteer on those projects. Just wanted to also mention about some of the work that we do in how we manage some of our buildings as well. So this is a picture of the roof of the Hugh Aston building. So on that roof, you can see that we've got some really colourful solar panels. So these are called photovoltaic panels, and these panels generate electricity from the sun. So we have these on 4 of our buildings: Hugh Aston, Edith Murphy, Gateway House, and the Vijay Patel building. If you get the chance to go up on the 11th floor of the Vijay Patel building, there's a viewing window there where you can look down onto the top of the Vijay Patel building, and you can see some of the solar panels that are on the roof. So that's definitely worth a trip to the top of the Vijay Patel, and you can also get some great views across the city, which looks really green. So it's a really nice city to be in. So these solar panels generate electricity, which we use on campus to light and heat our buildings. So like I say, we have over 1,000 panels all across those 4 buildings on campus, and we have plans to put in more as well. So the more we can put in, the more energy we can generate from these low carbon and green sources. So these have been in for a few years now. So 4 or 5 years we've had these panels on campus. Really effective at generating low carbon energy, and they look rather nice as well, rather nice colour. We also try and embed sustainability into refurbishments. So when we are doing work on our buildings to improve them, or indeed when we are putting new buildings up, we try and ensure that sustainability is a key element of that. So that includes not just the design of the building themselves, but also the materials that are used in those refurbishment projects or in those construction projects. And this photo is a really good example of that. So this is a picture of some of the timber that's used in one of our refurbishment works. And you can see that the timber is stamped with the FSC logo. The FSC logo is the Forest Stewardship Council. And what that means is the timber has come from a really well managed forest, or a forest that is managed in a sustainable way. So it's not all clear felled, which damages biodiversity and wildlife. It's managed in a really good way, which means that the forest will last for a much longer time, and it's beneficial to the local community and to biodiversity and wildlife as well. So the FSC logo is something we aim to use, and we aim to buy sustainably sourced timber through that accreditation scheme. We are also proud to be a Fairtrade university. So Fairtrade products have this brand or this mark on them, which is sort of a picture of somebody having a wave. And the Fairtrade mark means that the people who have produced ingredients for that project get a fair price for it. So it makes sure that there's no such thing as child labor or slave labor in the supply chain, and it means there are good working conditions for people who work on things like tea plantations. So it's a really good way of demonstrating that that product is supporting those workers rather than perhaps undermining them and paying less than it should be. So the Fairtrade mark is found on a whole range of different products. There's around 3,500 different products. So you can find it on teas, coffee, sugar, roses, a whole range of different things. And the university makes sure that in its catered events and throughout the majority of its outlets, we have plenty of Fairtrade products that people can buy and enjoy. The Fairtrade chocolate is particularly good. definitely worth trying out. And our commitment to Fairtrade goes so far as using Fairtrade footballs in our varsity matches. So we have a varsity match against the other university in Leicester, the one we don't really like to talk about. So we, in previous varsity matches, have provided Fairtrade footballs for those matches, and that's a picture there of one of those varsity matches. So we try and make sure that sustainability is embedded through everything that the university does. And also one of the ways that we try to do that is encouraging our staff and students to travel by more sustainable means, so low carbon travel. And to do that, we provide lots of facilities on campus. So we have lots of secure cycle parking on campus that students can access. We provide free cycle locks, which all you have to do is register your bike on the national database for bikes, so that if anything should happen to your bike, it will be returned to you, hopefully, if you're registered through that scheme. So if you register through security for that, you can pick up a free bike lock. And we also have something rather exciting happening on campus as well. We have a new e-bike scheme, which is run by the City Council. It's called Santander Cycle Leicester. And through that, you can hire an e-bike for a short period of time. And we currently have 2 docking stations on campus. So one outside Hugh Aston Building and one outside the Innovation Centre, where you can pick up one of these bikes. So it's all done through a mobile phone app. And it's a really good way of getting around the city, because there's lots of facilities in place to support cycling, some really good cycle lanes, and using one of the Santander Cycle Leicester bikes is a great way of seeing the city. And one of the things we also do is trying to embed sustainability into our teaching and learning. So we do this through something called ESD, which is Education for Sustainable Development. And we are working through many of our academics to make sure that during your time at DMU, you're not just sort of experiencing sustainability as you're walking around on campus, but you're also learning about it as well. So we are working hard to embed sustainability into the teaching and learning, but also we are making sure that we're providing volunteering opportunities for students to develop your skills and knowledge about sustainability. It's a great way to meet new friends as well, and it's a great way to do your bit for the planet. So a lot of these volunteering opportunities you can find through our social media platforms, which I've just mentioned, or I've already talked about DMU Local and DMU Global as well. So great opportunities to do volunteering. You'll get a lot out of them, and you'll develop some really good skills as well. And they also look great on your CV. So I just want to sort of finish off by just asking the question, well, how sustainable is De Montfort University? Are we, we talk a lot about sustainability, but how good are we? There is something called the University League, which ranks universities on their sustainability performance across 13 different assessment criteria. So it's published every couple of years. The last one was published in 2019. Hopefully you'll have spotted DMU on that slide, and you'll see that we are 13th on that league, so 13th out of 154 institutions. So that's one of the most sustainable universities in the UK. So for us, that's a good score, but we always want to improve that. And with your help and your time and energy by volunteering in some of our projects, that will certainly help to improve our sustainability performance. And so this is Green Impact. So here's a couple of students who are part of the sustainability team a few years ago working on Green Impact. As I mentioned earlier, Green Impact is a way for students and staff to work together to complete some environmental activities which look at waste, energy, greener travel, raising awareness, climate change. And we provide training for students who want to take part in that. And again, it's a really good way to meet other students, and it also looks really good on your CV as well. So good opportunity to get involved. And if you want to find out a little bit more about some of the sustainability and environmental projects that we run, you can have a look at our annual sustainability report. So these are published each year, and they demonstrate our commitment and progress in terms of meeting our sustainability targets or environmental targets. So if you go onto the web address there, dmu.ac.uk/sustainability, you can have a look at some of our sustainability reports, progress we're making, and the commitment we have to those 17 SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals. And, there's, even though we're doing loads of great stuff on the university, we still need to be aware of the bigger picture. And I just wanted to include this slide as, it's a really good demonstration of the urgency of what we need to do around sustainability and climate change. So this slide shows, the increase in global temperature from 1850 to a couple of years ago. And, I'm sure you're all aware that we are running out of time in terms of what we need to do to cope with the worst impacts of climate change and to reduce our carbon emissions. So we're very aware of this at DMU. We are taking many steps to reduce our own carbon footprint. And I hope that during your time here at DMU, you'll take the opportunity to get involved in some of our projects and help us in this really exciting work that we're doing to reduce our carbon footprint and carbon emissions. And one way you can find out a little bit more around what we're doing around sustainability is to join one of our sustainability tours. So we have one this afternoon at 1 o'clock, but we are running more tours next week. So week commencing the 27th of September. You can visit our Eventbrite page and find out some of these tours, or if you follow our social media streams, you can find out about when these tours are running and how you can take part and how you can book onto them as well. And just as a reminder, those are our social media streams. So you can find us, just look for Sustainable DMU. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or drop us an email at sustainability@dmu.ac.uk. So do get in touch with us through that. You can find out about our sustainability tours and also how to volunteer on some of our projects as well. Thank you very much. So I am happy to take any questions there might be. Okay, so we've got no questions in the chat, but that's great. Thank you all very much for your time and coming along to this talk about sustainability. Do follow us on our social media platforms, and I hope to see you on some of our sustainability tours next week. Great. Thank you all very much.